Eddie Troxler here. Another hopefully exciting.
We'll see. I got the
episode
energy
of Jazz Chat. You can reach me jazzchat.org. I'm not just a teaching video or anything like that. As my logo said, ignite your imagination. So I'll try to, as they say, maybe teach you how to fish rather than give you a bunch of fish. Like what I was just playing is a standard chord progression, but you can take it and put your own words to it. But I'm excited and honored to have a guest, Laura DiCaronimo. So she was explaining to me the name, but we won't get into any of that. Who hosts a lot of open mics, right?
I do.
And which I didn't. A lot of what you do is poetry, spoken word, which I kind of wasn't. I mean, I had been to open jams, blues jams, jazz jams, and we used to host one at Distare for years.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah, that went on for like 10 years.
Oh my God, I love it. So in the same place that we're doing the Canvas stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love being part of a legacy. That's awesome.
That went on for a long time until Distare closed.
I bet.
And it was a great way to meet a lot of musicians.
Totally.
And then there was Chai Bo downstairs when Chris owned it, but then that's when Strong Style. Then I was first introduced to, I think the guy Aaron brought a lot of that West Coast style of
exactly.
More of the spoken word and other things other than just people playing folk songs or whatever. Nothing wrong with that.
There's something to be said for the folk songs.
There's some great open mics. I went to the one down at 873 Cafe down in Ashby. I went there Tuesday, and they call it open mic because Mike Kelly hosts
Mike Kelly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of those.
He does them at the Boulder too, right on. I think it's a Wednesday.
I think he was there last night, but I do my other gigs, so sometimes I'll cruise by there afterward.
There's so many good things going on, like locally. It's crazy. Like I love being like, I'm trying to do a once monthly like road trip with like my community and just be like poets, musicians, like whomever, like let's go out to a mic once a month and just like mob up, see what's happening in their scene, and just like it's great to have so many options.
That's awesome. And you're from Central Mass, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Fitchburg, and I really like just love the vibe of Fitchburg. Like I live in Hubbardston, and I love the quiet of it, but it doesn't have the same like heart that Fitchburg does. So I do a lot of my stuff around here because I just really want to like give back to this community. It's been so great to me.
I know it gets a bad rap on some social media. I won't mention which one.
I blocked that page.
And I had never heard of Fitchburg. I'm not from here. I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
And I came to Boston to go to Berkeley in the 93, 94. And I met my wife when I was at Berkeley, and then we lived in Boston probably 10 years, and then we wanted to buy a house, and it's how I ended up here. It was affordable. I was reading like a suburban real estate news. But Fitchburg has been awesome to me. I mean, all I've done is teach and play since I've been here. I haven't had to work jobs I hated, just to pay the rent. And, when I first moved out here, I worked for the Thayer Symphony until they ended up closing. Wow. I've taught, in schools and everywhere. I used to teach at Mason Elementary, which was a quick drive up the street. But enough about me.
But like I feel like the city, like when you engage with like the actual like people of it, like you can like talk about a street that has potholes, like for sure that is a fact. But like when you actually deal with like the people, when you're teaching students, like for me when I'm like dealing with like people who are trying to make art, it's like the best people are here, like the best, most open,
they are.
kind.
And we
like,
do have a lot going for us. I mean, like where I grew up in Greensboro, it's a college town too.
Right.
And that was always the coolest place to hang out. And we have a college here. Yeah, I actually teach there now. I'm grateful for that.
Heck yeah.
So we have the resource. There's a great art museum. There's and next week hopefully she's still on. I have the mayor and we're going to
nice.
talk about some of
Heck
these
yes.
venues and opportunities for artists. Because to me, and I see this through a lot of, I mean, I'm old now, 65.
You got
I
time.
saw all these talent, that really cool talent. When I first moved to Boston, we would
Oh my
go down
God.
to the Rat,
I was gonna say,
and we'd
your
hear-
age
hear-
living in Boston.
Hear all of the bands, at the Rat. Then we go to Deli House. But I think what happens is the artists make it really cool,
100%.
and then they price all the artists out. I mean, that happened with Austin recently.
100%.
With Greenwich Village in the '60s, no one can afford to live in Greenwich Village now, unless you're
Totally.
a trust fund kid or you're working all the time.
100%.
The same with San Francisco. I mean, they were really cool places that the artists are what made it that way.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think Fitchburg is somewhat of a melting pot, or Central
100%.
Mass, in general, because we do have all those resources, and I love it here. I can.
It's so great, dude. Like we're so actually, like, speaking of the Fitchburg Art Museum, we're doing next week their first Thursday programming. We're gonna have an hour of just like a showcase of some local poets. Like, it's not gonna be a mic, but just like Paula Giaquinto, Zach Boss. We have two other poets who I'm just not personally as familiar with, but they're gonna be coming to us as well. And basically, like, we want people to have a reason to hang out in Fitchburg, and we want to give like students and people that are starting to experience Fitchburg a reason to like stay in Fitchburg. Like, there's a great community, and like once you know that, it's hard to step away from. And especially artistically, like, you can have a friend, but it takes a lot to have people with whom you can be open enough to really give meaningful feedback on a poem, and like my art like requires like such a level of vulnerability, and to be able to have that with so many people in this community is wild. Like, it's just wild. It's such a blessing, and like you just don't get that everywhere.
And that's really cool. And I'm glad that, you found a medium, if you want to
Exactly.
call it that, and for other people too. And when you
Totally.
call your organization the Openest.
Yeah.
So that means,
We've had some weird stuff, man.
well, yeah. And
We've
I
had
was
some
going to
weird
say, doing music jams too, sometimes you do kind of have to limit, because I mean, and people are super supportive.
It's so hard to limit for me because, like, to me, so I'm like 37, but I grew up like very much like Gen Z because of my parents. So when I think about like local art, local stuff, I think of like the Civic Center having Nirvana. So like for me, I feel very like tied to that like kind of like punk rock sensibility.
Did they play there?
They did.
So
There's-
I saw them in Chapel Hill
I hate
before they were before they were famous.
Oh my
And,
god!
and I was
I literally know which tour it was. I'm so
I was
obsessed.
like, well, I don't know, because I mean, he was, Kurt was really wasted. He
Crazy.
wasn't faking it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I know, for
and
sure.
then 6 months later, I see on Saturday Night Live. I said, no, I can't be the same band.
So
It's
funny.
like,
That's crazy. No, but like we couldn't have that energy here. And like when I see people on my mic starting to like go that way of like roller coaster, I love it. I can't stop it. Like, break your guitar, man. Like, we've had some really unhinged people, and to me, as long as they're not being hateful, as long as they're not making other people uncomfortable, like, yeah, sing that cover of an Alice in Chains song midway through your monologue about your childhood.
and
Cool.
that's awesome. I think
There's a
music,
place for it.
the arts in general, we do. Hopefully, we overcome a lot of the boundaries that are out there
We
in
have
the world.
to.
Like if I'm auditioning bass players, the last concern to me is the color or the gender or the
100%.
preference.
100%.
I want to know if our styles click. So I mean, hopefully we can instill that in some of the rest of the
Totally,
the
yeah.
world,
Diversity is such a strength. Like, it's just, to me, it boggles my mind because, like, I go to my mic and I see a folk artist and I see a rapper and I hear a guy speaking Spanish and I hear somebody speaking Portuguese and I hear somebody speaking English and I see somebody creating music that I've never even, it's called noisecore. I felt old, but it was beautiful. And it's just like, how dare that be a weakness to people? Like, to me, it's just like such a, I don't know, I love it. And I think that as people get exposed to it more, they realize how great it is.
I love the multiculturalism, and I hate the stuff that's going on now. But
Of course, of course.
I mean, that's what I loved about Berkeley. I always felt right at home. It was
Totally.
40% international students
Love
when
it.
I was there,
Love it.
and to be able to work with people all over the world, and that I've gotten to travel, through my music.
For sure.
I've worked in southern France. I was like,
Love it.
It was almost like, I said, well, yeah, I have a gig in the south of France. They were like, really? It's
Well,
like
see,
they paid my way. They paid me to be.
Dude, this is where poetry is so much easier because like you don't need to get booked for a gig. You can like be on a cruise ship by yourself, drunk at 2 a.m. with a bunch of bartenders and just say, guys, can I read this to you?
Yeah.
And then you read it to them. And now I've read internationally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's like what I love about art too, just having a no boundary for participation. You don't have to develop a skill. You don't have to like hone a skill. You just have to like start doing it and then hopefully you like it enough to do the practice to get better. But most people, like, if you just have a pen and a pencil or like use your notes app, if you just like think in an off moment, like maybe I could write a poem about this. Like you'd be so surprised.
Yeah,
You'd be so surprised.
And
it's
then,
so
I
good.
like the way now that a lot of it's mixed media. I when rap first came out, I wasn't a big fan.
I get it.
Well,
I get
that
it.
was the 80s. I was in New York City, and this
I
girl
didn't
was trying
like
to tell
early
me
rap.
that I really needed to listen to rap. I'm like, well, really? But now I try to make it up to Montreal for jazz festival. The way some of the jazz players will mix it all in, and it's
yeah.
I mean, and it's grooving too. That to me,
yeah.
It's about finding that groove and getting hopefully conveying some good energy to the audience.
Jazz and hip hop to me have such like an innate like passion, I think, and just like to me, like just like jazz to me is so unpredictable in ways, and I feel like lyrically, like my favorite artists are so like lyrically unpredictable that if you could get like a sick band and like a sick vocalist together and just like be like both of you go nuts. Like again, like not to like people like that's what I love about my mics. Like I have people who do collaborations based on like people that they meet at my mic, and I'm a fan. I'm just a fan first. I just like check it out. It's great stuff.
But do you want to do some poetry?
Yeah,
or
I would love
maybe
to.
you could talk a little bit about whatever. This is more about you. It should be about you.
You're the best. No, it's about us, man. So yeah, I would I guess like in my perfect world, I'll read a couple poems, and I've asked Eddie, and he has graciously agreed to accompany me. I'll
try. None of this is rehearsed.
None is rehearsed.
And which is what jazz is about. I think this one thing that I love about jazz is that it's like sitting here talking. It's not.
Totally.
It's the interaction with other musicians. I've been in tons of classic rock bands, and it's got to be played this way.
It literally doesn't.
And I'm just even though I'll do it if they're paying.
Exactly.
I'm just not that into it. It's like
1,000%. No, literally. And that's like I don't know. I have like a huge love of like the beat poets and a lot of like the more like obscure abstract poetry, and a lot of my poetry is I call it like atonal poetry because not only doesn't it rhyme, but it sort of like doesn't fall off the tongue super easily, and sometimes it's easier read. But like I like to do poetry that kind of like makes you stop and start. And I feel like I've seen a lot of like poetry and music collabs, like the way that we're gonna do of just kind of like random. And I feel like I can like change my pace and like whatever, and it'll be what it is. It'll be what it is.
Cool.
And I wanted to start off actually with like a poem that was inspired by my friend Carolyn Sellers, who's one of my favorite organizers in the area and who's doing beautiful things over at Canvas, trying to help start like a stewards group for the future. So this is my crow poem for Carolyn. And if you want to start jamming in, I'll kind of... Sometimes you're the branch, and sometimes you're the murder of crows, taking effortless flight in tandem. The sky darkens, but light pokes through the space between feathers. Sometimes you're the water, and sometimes you're the misdirected salmon, running downstream, confidently incorrect, wondering why everyone made such a spectacle of such an easy journey. You won't realize it's too late until you're too lost. Sometimes you're the bush, and sometimes you're the fire, consumed yet essentially unchanged. Transmutation makes you only truer to self. The blood and the wine are equally giddy in your veins. All right.
That
Sweet.
was awesome.
That was our first jam. Oh, that was awesome. Thank you. Sick. Yeah, so that poem, like, I'm not going to, like, necessarily explain all of my poems. Like I said, like, over at Canvas, where we do have a residency, we're calling it the Full Mooniest Residency because I have Poet and Moon tattooed on my knuckles because I'm not a tough woman, but I feel like these are really, like, tough tattoo placements. So I'm like really obsessed with the moon and just like wanted to like honor her. So our Full Mooniest mics happen at Canvas on the full moon, and being there and looking out over Riverfront Park and seeing the crows come to nest in the trees is like totally part of the experience of my mics now. And it's like really just like every time I go into a new venue or spend more time in a venue, I find something new to love about it. So that's kind of like my love song to Canvas as well.
Cool. That's awesome.
Thanks. This poem is called January 7th, and I think you'll know what it's about. It's hard to write about, the way it's hard to think about, the way it's hard to look directly at from so many angles. It's hard to write about it when my paper keeps soaking through, awash in all this innocent blood. It's hard to focus clearly because the whispers start immediately now, insidious. Down is up, fleeing is attacking, and the same people who won't let a guy with acrylic nails read a story to their child in a library will let a dude with empty eyes shoot a poet in front of her wife. It's hard to think about. It's hard to watch and not know anything, apparently. It's hard to cry for my own grief. It's hard to detach from this relentless hopelessness that demands I can roll my window down.
Yeah.
Bummer poems.
I like it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I just feel like it's that thing of like everything universal is personal, right? Obviously. And like the things that have been going on have been personal for a long time. But like having like the poetic community losing a member to violence has really, in like a good way and bad way, inspired a lot of poets I know to start speaking more directly about the issues our country is facing. And like that is our job as artists, to speak truth to power. And like right now, like if anybody watching this can get anything from this, like please like speak truth to power. Like the world needs your perspective like so desperately. Anywho.
You're right, for sure.
Yeah,
that's
thank
a
you.
good point.
And thank you for the platform, yeah, honestly, because like the more opportunities that we get to share these opinions, and frankly, like, you know, I'm a kind person and I want a good world, and I feel like the more people understand that, like, you know, whatever people you want to call us hippies or whatever, like, want a good world, it'll make us seem a lot less threatening.
Well, I think the arts is a great medium for putting the message out.
100%.
I mean, you know, because if you look at like the history of, you know, I mean, the Beatles, for example, like no one even had long hair before that, you know,
right.
until you know they changed the whole culture, you know.
Totally.
Or, if I remember the original Deadheads, it was
Nice.
like this whole counterculture that stayed on tour, you know. And
it's still
like,
existing, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They were, you know.
Totally.
I think the '60s, they were changing the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think maybe the drugs kind of hindered it, you know, because my generation, you know, we were into like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, all that stuff, and the Eagles, but we kind of didn't have any really good ideas. We were just wanting to party.
It was a vibe. It was like a really fun vibe.
Like, it was fun, but it was not like we were trying to change anything.
Eating a lot of junk food, not a lot of meals, you know, which is like cool, but like and like you could, because like not like that the world was like blanket statement easier or whatever, but like we at least didn't have these little machines sitting in our pockets showing us how horrible it was, so you could be more frivolous.
Well, that's true, and I think like I mean the you know, when we portray history, that we kind of forget the bad things as much, you know.
For sure.
It's easzy to remember
For
the really
sure.
good things.
The highlights.
Like I've watched that '70s show. I only watched it, but like like, no, it wasn't that way. It was
That's so funny.
you know,
My mom would say the
none
same
of
thing,
cool-
like, what?
None of the cool people were going to discos. You know,
Literally. Literally. Oh, it's
we
so
weren't,
tough.
We weren't wearing those big collars. That was like.
That's dork stuff. I'm sorry. Like, and that's like the thing, like artists, like, so, okay. So I went on my first solo vacation last year because I followed a girl on social media who was like, yeah, I go on solo vacations. And I was just like, oh, you can just do that. And like, I feel like a lot of people like don't realize their individual power as people to set a cultural tone like in their life. And like, so I go on this solo tour and or I go on this solo trip and I document it and I write art about it and I engage with artists about it. And then it becomes a thing of, hey, we should all go on a solo trip a year and then produce, you know, like, I just feel like with like culture, like artists and again, like poets in my medium, but every one of us, like really like, we can create a norm even just within our own niche that feels so much better.
And that's awesome. I travel by myself a lot. So me and my wife does too, but
Yeah.
mainly the main reason is because we have animals. And so
I feel you, man.
I
feel
mean,
like 1,000%.
I could get somebody to take care of him, but that doodle dog, he's like,
He's
you
so
know.
cute. Who cares?
I don't know how he would respond if we were both gone. But I have, and I usually own a small music shop, so I get to expense things off as a
Heck
yeah. And I did I tell people I probably started the COVID because I went to Shanghai like 2019,
Holy crap.
and I kind of use it as an excuse. It's the world's largest music trade show. To be in China, you have to have a reason to be there. They want to know where you're. But it was such an awesome experience, and such a different culture. But they're super nice people. They're some of the nicest people I've ever met. You know, it's like
Nuts, dude. Nuts.
and I thought a lot of people would speak English, but hardly no
Surprise.
one does. But everybody was super helpful. You know, and everything was super clean. I was amazed that a city with 25 million people in Shanghai. That's like.
That's always like my daunting
thing. That's 5
thing.
times as big as New York City, and it was incredibly inexpensive too. I flew from Boston round trip, $500, and you can still stay in Shanghai.
This is dangerous information for me, man. I'm like, I gotta go.
Well, if you need an excuse, it's called Music
festival?
China every year. Yeah, it's called this. It's a trade show.
The Openest Mike should be checking that out.
Yeah, some of the
Get a grant for
performers
it.
there, they have like little. Like kids, like kindergarten, they're drum groups. I mean, they were so good,
Dude, we have 4-year-olds. We had this 4-year-old perform at one of my mics. He was 3 or 4, and his music has like haunted me. And one of his songs, it was like basically about like, Daddy's in the car, he's gonna come in, and it was like. Again, just like chilling and like so just like full of emotion. It was just like that moment, like me like not having nor wanting kids, like looking at just like this tiny human like expressing himself so fully. It was just like, dude, like I feel you. I love that moment. Like that's to me like going into an open mic is like being blindfolded in a museum, and then like midway through you just get unblindfolded and it's like, oh my god, like this is what's happening.
Awesome.
It's so sick. Yeah, it's a really good vibe.
The time always flies, but we only have 5 minutes. Do you want to do another?
Yeah, let me do a.
But I do want to thank Lara for coming on in. Hopefully you'll come back anytime.
Definitely.
And then FATV, Fitchburg Access Television, they're really super helpful in this amazing equipment that they let us use.
The setup was so nice. Yeah, it was like, holy crap.
And jazzchat.org, you can reach me there. There's a YouTube channel, Eddie Troxler, EDDYTROXLER. And how would people get in touch with you about your openness mics?
Yeah.
You don't have to give out your phone number.
I'm like, Openest mic. I've done it. openestmic@gmail.com is the easiest way email.
And you're also on Facebook. That's where I see you, right?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. All of our open mics are streamed. Accessibility is like a huge thing for me, so all of our mics are streamed. So if you want to check out what we've been doing, you can still catch up. And if you want to see us Sunday, actually 5 to 8 at Canvas, we'll be there.
Oh, maybe I can come by because I have my regular brunch gig in the day, but
Sounds like take a nap and come on through. Yeah, we're going to have some people. So again, like Openest, we're going to have some speakers talking about transit equity. It's going to be sick in the history of the railroad. All right, I got one more poem for us.
All right.
I can do it in 4 minutes. This is a bummer poem because I'm deeply in grief over my mom, and I wrote this poem like really shortly after her death. And again, if you're experiencing a pain, poetry is such a good balm. It's called The Sunset. I follow the sunset around someone else's small apartment, rented for a needed escape. First, on the porch, sipping diet soda from a wine glass. Iced, I'm not an animal. Hillside to the left is a cacophony of color. Daylight bidding dramatic adieu while leaving lingering shadows. Night lurks obediently behind dirt and trees and time, wanting. He is eager for a feast of dreams, the worst of my subconscious chewed in his ambivalent maw. As the sun sinks, the temperatures drop, and I abscond to an unfamiliar kitchen whose empty drawers just remind me of how alone I am. A selfie with a smile you would have compared to the Mona Lisa if it reached my eyes. Another moment I try to capture that feels irrelevant because we can't share it. We can't share anything. In the living room, there's a shelf just for games. Monopoly, Chutes and Ladders. I see a box for a Ouija board and open it with a disbelieving but still somehow hopeful heart right in my throat. Someone's gotten to it before me, before we could. The board and planchette are gone, mirror in their place, catching the last rays of sun before they disappear before the horizon.
That was
Thanks.
awesome. We still have,
Awesome.
according to my counter here,
Ooh.
I'm at 27.39.
I'm like, I can do haiku. Like, come to
yeah.
Openest mic events. I can't stress enough, come to Openest mic events. Poets that you should check out, Luca Araquesin, I probably mispronounced that, Christy Beckwith, Sarah Beth Wheeler, Mike Amadeo is the haiku king of Fitchburg. Tons of local poets are here. Just come see them. Come see us. We love you.
Awesome. And I'm looking forward to hopefully do some collaboration if people want to. I've put
Listen.
music to people's poetry before.
I was going to say, now that I have my tentacles on you, you're screwed because we're definitely going to collab more.
I always want to do
Awesome.
stuff, especially where it has to do with creating.
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes I'm not so into playing stuff exactly like it's got to be.
That's
Even doing
boring.
orchestra stuff, it's they're union gigs, but
All of
it's
my
like-
poems are in different versions. So I have all of these poems in one notebook, different notebook. Every notebook has a different version of the poem when I edit it. And then if
That's
I'm trying to
awesome.
put it somewhere in a book, then I go through all the edits of that same poem.
Cool.
Words matter, man.
That's
it's
awesome.
tough.
So Lara DiCaronimo.
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 Yep. Fake names, baby. Awesome.
And I'm Eddie Troxler, jazzchat.org. We have that. And if you have suggestions, feel free. We, try to be nice, but we can take it. No.
Love it.
But I'm always open to any suggestion. And anytime you want to come on my show, just contact me directly through email, through Jazz Chat. Eddie's Music, most of you know I have a shop here, if you're from here. But I think I can, if you're watching from somewhere else, I think I can do a virtual, too, with some of the software I have, if you ever want to do that. I'm not sure how that works. I have eCam. It says I can do that.
So you have people for that.
Oh,
You have
yeah,
the
yeah.
wonderful staff of FATV for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about that. I have a tech guy. Oh, quick shout out. I love Tyler Hopp. He is my Openest mic colleague. He is one of my absolute best friends and favorite human beings, and he is my tech guy. And he is the reason that our mic rocks for musicians.
Awesome. Thank you.